Hello and welcome to another TLDR EU video. After a tumultuous week over on the other side of the Atlantic, it's only a matter of time before the ripples of the aftermath of the US election hit on Europe's shores. For many, Biden's win heralds a return to a stronger relationship between America and Europe, and with Brexit, the pandemic, big tech, and climate change all on the cards for Europe to deal with in the coming months, it's no secret why Europe wants Biden to be its knight in shining armour. The question remains as to whether Biden's win will actually mark a new chapter in US-EU relations. If you're watching a video about the EU, you're likely also interested in Brexit. If that's you, then you might appreciate our new book, Brexit the Colouring Book. Our brand new expanded edition colouring book features 21 pictures, taking you through the Brexit timeline, from Cameron announcing the referendum to the EU summit a few weeks ago. Read through our summary of the whole story and colour along with our brand new book. Anyway, pre-order now by clicking the link in the description and get 20% off using code BIDEN. Once inaugurated, Joe Biden will take the helm of a key transatlantic relationship. For decades, bordering on centuries, the US and European countries have worked together to tackle its common ills, from the Second World War to the financial crisis. Joe Biden has, in the eyes of many, been a lifelong transatlanticist, with strong links to Europe and many of Europe's figureheads. In the words of Politico, many European decision-makers will see Biden's presidency as a golden opportunity not just to repair the transatlantic alliance, but renew and redefine it for the coming decades. And it's clear that at least some of their dreams are likely to become a reality. To say that Trump strained relationships in Europe is an understatement. Whether you agree with the intentions or the way he went about it, no one can deny that the last few years have indeed been characterised by his America First policy. In all matters European, Trump put the immediate American interests first, for some at the expense of longer-term interests. All in all, this led to a massive reversal of the European view of US leadership, with polling collapsing from an approval rating of nearly 45% for Obama down to lows of below 25% for Trump. The Democratic Party platform explicitly targets Trump's management of the US-EU relationship and commits to reinvigorating the transatlantic partnership to repair the damage of the Trump era and preempt the risks and broader structural divergence between the US and Europe. So, what are the issues on the table for a Biden presidency? Among others, Brexit, NATO, the pandemic, big tech, and the environment. Let's quickly take each in turn. On the Brexit issue, while Donald Trump was seen as an enthusiastic supporter of Brexit from the start, Biden is far less enthusiastic, stressing the notion of stability. After the introduction of the controversial Internal Markets Bill to the House of Commons, Biden was quick to come out in support of Europe, affirming on Twitter that we cannot allow the Good Friday Agreement that brought peace in Northern Ireland to become a casualty of Brexit. Any trade deal between the US and UK must be contingent on respect for the agreement and preventing the return of a hard border, period. Biden then went even further. In a memo published by his campaign, it was stated that Biden would ensure that there was no US-UK trade deal if the implementation of Brexit imperils the Good Friday Agreement. This led many to highlight that the biggest loser in Europe from Biden's win is actually Boris Johnson. Some reports in the days and weeks preceding the US election seem to suggest that Johnson would be substantially less gung-ho in pursuing a no-deal situation if he didn't have a direct ally, an established relationship with Trump in the White House. For years, the UK was a major go-between between the US and EU. That obviously won't be the case for much longer though. The question being as to how both sides will respond. Some now believe that the US and UK will join the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, something seemingly ever more likely on the UK side, given the UK and Japan's recent agreement. But only time will tell how a Biden presidency will impact Brexit. NATO. Yet again, while the Trump administration was far from a fan of the alliance, Biden is a much stronger supporter, with the NATO Secretary General congratulating Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, warmly welcoming the election of Joe Biden as the next president. I know Mr. Biden as a strong supporter of NATO and the transatlantic relationship. A strong NATO is good for North America and good for Europe. The pandemic. One of the most pressing issues on both sides of the Atlantic remains dealing with the virus and the economic fallout. At the time of writing, cases in the US are about to breach the 10 million mark, and while recent news surrounding a vaccine is promising, we have to be cautious, because the vaccine won't fix things overnight. Restrictions will be necessary for a while longer, and cooperation between America and the EU when it comes to science, PPE, and the distribution of a vaccine is going to be imperative. Building up the relationship once again could prove invaluable to quickly tackling COVID and its aftermath. Big tech. Europe, driven by French President Emmanuel Macron, is rapidly looking at restricting the power of big tech, with France going as far as to bring in a digital services tax that hits American tech giants such as Apple, Facebook, Amazon, and of course Google very hard. It goes without saying that Trump was not a fan. A recent report, however, by the Democrat-controlled House of Representatives Antitrust Committee highlighted the perverse power at the hands of these tech giants and called for the rewriting of US antitrust law, following the example of Europe's competition commissioner. While the report's recommendations weren't supported by Republicans, it is expected that Biden will hit the ground running and bring into effect many of those recommendations. The environment. It goes without saying that tackling climate change requires a joint global effort. Under the Trump administration, and to the dismay of many European leaders, the US left the Paris Climate Accord. Biden has already committed to a complete reversal of course, pledging to rejoin the accord on his first day in office, all after public statements highlighting that climate change is an existential threat to humanity, and pledging a $2 trillion green stimulus package to reduce US emissions. Biden's election is a massive boost for many heavyweights in Europe. For Angela Merkel, the role of a secure, strong US-EU relationship cannot be understated, especially when Merkel herself is expected to step down in the next year. All in all, leaving the potential of a power vacuum at the heart of the EU. A power vacuum she will invariably be hoping is stabilised by Biden. For Macron, someone outwardly known for global ambitions, Biden at the helm of the US could see far greater cooperation on an international level through the WHO, WTO, and UN. A Biden win wouldn't be a silver bullet for repairing relations, however. In an interview with the German press agency DPA, the German foreign minister poured cold water over the prospect of the US and EU running into the sunset hand in hand come January. Everyone who thinks that everything in the transatlantic partnership will be as it once was with a Democratic president underestimates the structural changes. The transatlantic relations are extraordinarily important. They remain important, and we're working to ensure that they have a future. But with the way they are now, they are no longer fulfilling the demands both sides have for them. This is something supported by Sophia Becker writing before the election. A research fellow at the German Council of Foreign Relations, she wrote, "The mood is sort of dampened. Not everything is going to be roses and peaches if Biden is elected." For example, Biden, like Trump, is no fan of the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, a gas pipeline linking Russia and Germany, of which we've already made a video. It's linked down below. Back in 2016, while still vice president, Biden said that the US believed the pipeline would be a bad deal for Europe. Ultimately, as Andreas Kluth writes in a Bloomberg opinion piece, it was Obama with Biden as vice president who announced America's strategic pivot to Asia, and previous US presidents were already complaining, albeit politely, that the Europeans were spending too little on their own armies and free-riding on a global commercial system chaperoned by the US. Trump simply blew the diplomatic sheen and subtlety of these disputes. What do you think though? Will Biden reinvigorate US-EU relations? Can the diplomatic sheen and subtlety return? Or is the transatlantic partnership dead in the water? As always, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to be notified every time we release a new video. Special thanks to our Patreon backers who make videos like this one possible. And if you want to see your name at the end of videos, then be sure to back us on Patreon. The link to that's in the description.